You know what is a super easy, fantastic character design that super nails shape language is Stitch. Disney's Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. He is a fantastic little study on character design and development with shape language. So when you first meet Stitch, he's a bad guy. He's on the spaceship, right? And he's got 6 limbs, and he's all claws, and he's all teeth, and he's drooling and snarling and hissing and showing his teeth, and he's got these kind of antennas poking out of his head and spines coming off of his back, and he's wearing red. So it's a very aggressive color, and overall his form comes off as very aggressive because he has all these sharp points, little triangles. Even on his little vest, there's a red triangle on his vest. So it's this very aggressive shape making, and it's mirrored all over his form in different levels of detail. So he comes off as a bad guy, right, with all these aggressive bad guy forms. And then when he goes through the dog shelter and he meets Lilo, he has to pass himself off as a good guy. So he hides his extra set of limbs and he puts his antennas down, and he puts his spikes down, and he doesn't have his red suit anymore, and he's blue, which is a very passive color. And he suddenly goes from all these spiky shapes to all these very round shapes. He's got a very round head, and his eyes go from the aggressive slits of squinty, slitted eyes to these very round, bulby eyes that you kind of associate with like cute things, like with puppies and like children and things like that. So suddenly his form goes from very sharps to a lot of very soft, round shapes, and it makes him very likable and very pleasing. And he suddenly goes from a bad guy to a good guy in his shape language. And so he's a lot more convincing when he's trying to pass himself off as a good guy and likable with all of his shapes. And it's his animations all like push that too. So he's a great little study if you're wanting to learn about character design and what shape language does for you.
So did you say that Stitch had bad guy?
He did, and then he slicked it down and he had good guy hair. He had just the little tufts. Speaking of bad guy hair, so another really good example is Hades from Hercules. He prided himself on his bad guy hair. He had the flames, right? That were, when he was passive, had this cool blue going on, but whenever he was super mad and like screaming at pain and panic, he would go red, right? So it's the same thing. And at one point in the movie, Pegasus blows his hair out. And he goes from these sharp shapes for his hair to being bald, which is a round shape. And Pegasus laughs at him because it's kind of a signal that the bad guy's losing because he lost his aggressive shapes and the good guys are winning. And he goes, "Oh no, is my hair out?" And turns it back on later. Hades is a great bad guy. All of his shapes are very aggressive and straights and sharps, and his like contrast is Zeus, who has all these really round shapes. It's really great character design and development. You'll see this stuff not just like in cartoons and things like that. It's easier to see, like very easy examples in cartoons. But you'll also see it in live action, like how Bond villains are dressed versus Bond, and like in all sorts of movies. That's why we say evil is an aesthetic.
Well,
Because
yeah,
it is.
It is like DC movies. It's a shape language, it's a color palette.
Yeah, but it's also in live action and fantasy and sci-fi and all sorts of stuff. You'll see it everywhere. So, yeah, don't have bad guy hair.
Well,
Whoa.